This is not a video on how to build a computer, but hopefully I will build a computer in this video. Maybe. So I've been busy and I haven't done many videos lately, but I have built some computers over the last couple of years just around the house and for other people. But when you're doing that, you often end up with a lot of spare parts and whatnot, and it's always nice to, it's always a shame when you got them laying around. So I've got this motherboard here, which is a it's an old what is this one? Yeah, it's an MSI B350 motherboard. I think it's what was it? Mortar Arctic, if I put it up the right way and be able to read the writing because I can't see for shit. Yeah, Mortar Arctic. It's a pretty little board, and it was quite an adequate board. It just I originally had it in my main machine, so it was a good little board. Originally came with a Ryzen 5 1600, worked really well. I then upgraded it to a, I did for a while have a Ryzen 5 3600 in it. It did have a beta BIOS when the beta BIOS first came out, and that worked okay. I did have some issues with it on sleep. Now I'm not 100% sure if that was software. It could have been trouble with software I was using at the time. I did do some experimenting, but it was a bit glitchy, so I swapped it out. I've now got a B450 Tomahawk in there at the moment, which had the Ryzen 5 3600 for a while, and now I think there's a 5600 on that B450 board, which is working great. The 3600 now I think is in my granddaughter's 2D computer on a ASRock board. So I had this board laying around, and it's always a shame to have a board laying around. So when I did all the swapping recently, getting the 3600 in the ASRock board, I ended up with a leftover, the original Ryzen 5 1600, which was from this board, is now available, and so I've got a board. I have a chip. I don't have the original heatsink that came with the original Spire with the copper insert and everything, which was a really nice little heatsink. It's on loan to my son in Rocky, so but I do have one of these stealths. I do have one of these stealth coolers, which is fine. These do not require a lot of cooling. The 2600, the stealth is not enough. I have upgraded I've got a 2600 downstairs as well on my wife's computer. This was not enough. I think this might even be the one off of it. Not enough for the Ryzen 5 2600. It gets a bit warm, so I upgraded that to a slightly bigger cooler, something more like the Spire. I think it's a third party. And the 3600 definitely not enough. Even I have put, well, my son's got the Spire on the 3600, the Ryzen 5 3600, and it's still not the greatest. But what I also have, which is overkill for this machine, is I do have this spare. This came included with the from PC Case Gear. They were selling these. They were supplying these with the package deal with the Ryzen 5 5600s, because the cooler is probably not adequate for them, although they don't run as hot as the 3600, 3650. It's very confusing because they've gone from 30 in the desktop. They've gone from 3600, 1600, 2600, 3600, and 5600, and we don't have the 4000s. Always confuses me. I always go, wait, what? Shouldn't I have a 4000 something? Because I seem to have every generation of desktop Ryzen AM4 Ryzen processors, but so essentially I had a bunch of these pieces and bits and pieces laying around. I do also have a an SSD, and that's a Samsung 860 Evo. What is that? 500 gig? Yeah, 500 gig, which is a really nice drive. I would be using it. Well, it was the boot drive in my main computer, and then I swapped it for a NVMe. And this one does not work in there anymore. It gets some sort of conflict, so I've been using it around the place. It's really not much good for that. I could put it on one of the other computers, but I have got a spare for this if I want it. I could also put an M.2 in here, which would be good. I don't know if that's NVMe or SATA. I think it is NVMe, so I could do that. So essentially I've got all the major components, most of the major components. I have a spare power supply. It's only a 450 watt, but I'm thinking about just making this into a little Linux machine or something like that, which was why for a while there I was looking for some sort of AM4 CPU with onboard graphics, but it's really hard to find them at the moment. What else have I got? Ooh, I've got a backplate. Nice, that'll make it even prettier. Then, so I've got the power supply. So then I wouldn't have had to have a video card, because I just wanted it for a maybe a Linux server box or something. Maybe I could use it for a Minecraft server. So I did have to find a video card. I did go on eBay and get a video card for 20 bucks somewhere. Yeah, I did find a video card on eBay. I have no idea. I think it's a GT610. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Maybe it'll work. It was a super cheapie, but I just wanted some basic video, and it was super cheap. May not work. If that doesn't work, I have also got access to a GTX 960 if I have to use it. So I probably won't need that. And this isn't my entirety of my workspace at the moment, which is a pain in the bum. I don't have a lot of workspace. I've got my computer over there, and this room is absolutely chock-a-block. Really what I would need is a really big, nice workshop. Anyway, so that was all the components I had. I did buy that second-hand, so it's mostly second-hand components that really only needed a case and some RAM. I probably have got some RAM laying around, but when I was online getting a cooler just recently, I did pick up some, they did see some Corsair RAM on sale. It's 16 gig 3200 is way more than it. I'll probably only run it about 2400 anyway. Well, whatever it'll run at, I will try. And it's white and RGB, so suits the board. Total overkill, but it was on sale. And I have got a case. Also bought a super cheap case on sale. I think I paid, it was like 40 bucks. It was fairly cheap which was super cheap for a tempered glass case. Cable management is going to be disgustingly bad on it. I don't know how that's going to be dealt with, because it doesn't really have very good provision. It really needs a fan up the front would be good sometime. But for the power that this will be running, it's probably not necessary, but later on I might put a 140 or something in the front of that. Maybe. It's super cheap. I went and ordered this, and I think it was like 40 bucks, and then I did the order, and it was going to come to $200 or something with postage, because I think it went on express postage up here. It was going to be like $150 postage, but I managed to find some cheaper postage, which was down 40 bucks. So I ended up paying twice as much But luckily I've got a few other things with it, so that was a bit ridiculous. We have some hardware, hopefully some sort of useful hardware in there. So somehow we've got to get that motherboard in this little tiny case, and then somehow manage to make a computer out of it, out of all this old rubbish. Okay, first things first, I suppose we have a CPU to put in. All this all should still be functional, hopefully, although it's been sitting in the cupboard a while. It all was operational. Always remember that generally the writing always goes the same way there and there, so they always just drop in nice and easy. Apparently, I have heard that the new generation, the AM5, will be on a land grid array. That would be interesting. Oh, we should have some RAM. We can put that in now, I suppose. They seem like very massive sticks, don't they? This is the RGB. This will be the first RGB RAM I have ever used, and in a computer that probably won't be able to see the light of day. Okay. Normal 2 and 4, is it? Yeah. Some of those ones that only opens one end, which is a pain in the bum. Yeah, and I put it in backwards, which might be good if I put it in the right way. Seem very tall. Okay. Some mounting hardware for the heatsink. Now that's assuming, let's assume that this heatsink is going to fit in that case. We'll hope. We'll hope. I did have a quick look, a preliminary line of sight, and I think it will clear by about 0 millimeters, maybe half a millimeter, hopefully. If not, then oh well. Then we'll have to redo it. Let's see if I've got some pliers somewhere, maybe, to do this. No, these don't have to be that tight. Some of these are mounting. This one's been used already, so I don't have to line up the little AM4. Some of these mounting hardware, I actually prefer the ones that just mount straight onto the, well, I don't know, it depends on it. These are good in that they, once you bolt them in the motherboard, they stay put, so they don't fall off every time you change the heatsink or put new thermal paste or something. Okay, but might as well do this out of the case where it's easy. Beautiful. These don't need to be tight, they just need to be firm. But I've used these. This is the, are they? Is it Deep Cool? Yeah, Deep Cool. They're a good little budget cooler. They seem to work fine. And I'm not like overclocking, and we're only talking 6 cores here, so we're not talking super duper hardware or anything. That looks fine. I don't even have to use pliers. A little bit rattly, but it's alright. Okay, also have my little electric, that'll be good. Have various crappy thermal paste. I might even use the one that came with it, because it's not like this needs a huge amount of cooling anyway. Might as well use this up. I'm sure it's fine. We've got screws, we've got screwdriver. Okay. Not sure how much is in here, but should be heaps. Doesn't require a huge amount. Oh, heaps. Heaps. Oh yeah. Try and get this the right way up. So we've got the nice Deep Cool logo sticking out right behind the glass. Beautiful. Much easier, you can put these on outside the case if you can. Especially the fan part of it with these clip-on fans. Not sure what the sound's like in here. I've got the aircon on, and I don't have my mic. I don't know what happened to my good mic, so it's probably a bit echoey. I've just using the camera mic at the moment because my mic is missing. As I haven't been doing a lot. The last video I did, I don't even know if I uploaded it. It was done with a webcam and it was bloody terrible. Okay. These are not something you want to over tighten. A lot of these screws strip really easy, but I also noticed that they do loosen off a little bit over time. I don't know if it's vibration or what, but they usually off a couple of threads for me when I go back, but I still don't like to over tighten them. So we've got that, we have got a fan. It's white as well. Unfortunately, these also come with these bright white LEDs. I had it on my computer downstairs and it was in a black case with black motherboard, black everything, and it had this white fan with this big glaring white LEDs, and it didn't fit the decor. This one here might be a bit better. Be able to tuck all that out of the way, lovely. Yeah. Overkill cooling. How's that look on there? Yep. Overkill. Bit of overkill cooling on that. Really is. This cools the 36 and the 56 quite well, really well. So on this one it won't even get warm probably. We have our back plate, we have all of that ready to go. I think we should get a case. And one case which is not going to fit in camera very well, is it? Sort of. Not going to see very well, are we? Yeah, sort of. Okay, what can we do here? Let's see if it'll fit. That's what exciting bit of the thing is. To see it fail when it doesn't fit. Okay. Should have some case hardware. Yep. Okay, we got some case hardware. We have a fan thing here. Work out where the case fan's going to wire in. Oh, what do we got? Some front panel stuff, something to power, something or other. Not sure what we're powering. Probably something unimportant like some case lighting on the front. USB 3. Front panel and audio. Okay. So it's not a bad case. It's got a very cheap feel, but you know, I didn't need anything fantastic. I've got good cases for the good PCs, and I don't want to waste a lot of money on this thing. I did already had a quick look at this, and I did put two extra standoffs. I think I've got all the standoffs about right now. So can you see in there? Well, you can sort of see in there a little bit, I guess. Get this all sorted out. It's been used a few times, so bend it a little bit out of the way. Oh my god, it's all. If I'm not careful, these will, oh no, end up in a socket somewhere, eh? That one's a bit out of its whack. It's alright. How does that look? Yeah, looks like fits. Unfortunately, these standoffs, unlike some other boards, don't have the nice little alignment pin set up. So it'll be a bit of a job to get it lined up. Get it lined up good. You can't really see in there too well. That's alright. This table is not the best. It's like it's not flat. Find a screw or two. Okay, so that gets us some screws, a screwdriver. Hopefully we can screw it down. Screw them tight. Oh. Beautiful. These are handy little things to have, these screwdrivers, but I must admit this is the first time I've ever used one for something like this. Normally just use a conventional screwdriver, but it's a bit extra fun and makes it a bit quicker. Okay, what have we got left? Some of these are going to be a bit tricky with that heat sink because it's so massive. But fine. Went in eventually. Yeah, I did buy the case white for obvious reasons because the board was white. Might as well go with white. The RAM though, I was getting just ordinary HyperX like I normally get. It was cheap, just that was on sale and it was white, and why not? Okay, all of a sudden it's not magnetic. For some reason. One non-magnetic screw out of all of them. Okay. All those screws in. Always good to make sure you know exactly how many standoffs you have, and that you've got the same number of screws, they all match. The last thing you need is a standoff shorting out on the back of the board. Not that it happens too much these days, most of them are fairly standard. Okay, we have then we just got a bunch of wiring. We have got a power supply to put in, some wiring to put in, a hard drive to put in. We might put we've got this hard drive, we might mount it there somehow. But let me see, yeah, that's what it's going to look like in the case. Find a power supply, some mounting for our hard drive, and whack in the video card, and we'll be doing quite well. I don't know, cable management, I don't know, that's going to be ugly. And looks like that's just going to clear the case. Ooh. I think get that all in there. There is not a lot of room to spare in there, that's for sure. But it fits, and that is the main thing. You would not want that any closer. These always seem to hang down a little bit, which is a pain. Okay, so we've got some mounting hardware there. Wiring. I'm sort of using this like a oversized USB drive. I do believe this has got the beginnings of a Windows 10 install on it, to be honest, that I started to install, so that'll be interesting. Might be good for testing though. I do want to put Linux on here, although I don't know what Linux I'm going to use, and I don't. Well, it'll probably be plugged into the Ethernet, so it won't matter. But I don't think the Linux will work on this Wi-Fi adapter for testing. So that's a pain. But I can rig up a. Maybe I can find a Ethernet lead long enough. It's got like a. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's got like a. Try not to lose all my screws. There are some holes up in there, and it looks like you could probably mount a, not sure, maybe mount there, if not round the back, but yeah, that'd be a nice little spot. Just, show it off. It's a nice little cute little black case, adds to the whole black and white aesthetic. Either way, we're going to have to put these things on here somewhere. Oh dear. So, I'm not looking forward to getting up in there to hook all these wires up. Yeah, get a torch. I'm struggling. Okay, we put little 4 little screws in here. I'm not even going to use the power part, well, a little bit of the power part, because that's a bit deadly. There we go then, there we go. Okay, so we got those in there. Oh, I have a a lead somewhere out of one of these mini motherboard boxes. So we mount our 4 little rubber pads on there and see if it fits, I guess. Just slot straight in there. Beautiful. And plug the leads from the other side. Okay, so we'll need a power supply. I wonder if I've got screws for the power supply. Might have some in here anyway. Hopefully. Might oh yeah, where? Really, we're gonna have to start on the yeah, that's most of it there. We've just got to put the power supply in. And then a lot of this wiring, that's going to take a while, and I don't think I'm going to video all of that, but maybe we'll video what results we can afterwards, because that's going to be me over the top of it, dragging wires around for a couple of hours. So I probably won't put that on the video, but well, do that afterwards. But I think we've got everything in there. I've got some more hardware there. Most of this is dead easy. We've got our, hopefully I've got a Molex for that. If not, we won't have lights on the front, and that's okay. We've got hard drive light. What have we got? Power. No reset. Doesn't seem to be a reset there, and I've got a reset switch here. We got power switch, hard drive light, power light. No reset. Okay. and audio. So those we're probably going to run them over the top. There is a bit of room at the back, I believe. Bit of room at the back we can. There is a bit of room at the back where we can maybe run them over here and down somewhere. Lots of anchor points maybe we can. Ooh, runs right into there, doesn't it? Yeah. Glad we put that on first, because that would have been a pain to get on otherwise. We would have had to cut it to fit it in there. Interesting. Okay, I'll see if I can find a power supply. Also managed to have a power supply, and I managed to find some screws in that hardware kit that came with the case, so that'll save me having to dig up my screws kits. So we've got screws, we've got a case, we have a 450 watt power supply, which would be more than enough for this little tiny, for the amount of things in this, because it's not going to have much of a video card. It's a reasonable quality one, so I think it's a 450. Yep, it's only a cheapie, but now how are we going to mount that? We're going to mount it that way or that way. I think I'm going to mount this one, not mount, because it's going to be, this one's going to be, this computer's going to be probably shoved in a corner somewhere, so I think I will mount it with the fan up rather than suck out the bottom, because it does have a filter down there, but I can just see that being a problem. But I think we're gonna mount it here. I don't know where we're gonna put the wiring. That'll be the biggest problem with this one, is it's going to be very very exposed wiring, although I probably won't have any 3.5 inch drive, so I can probably use the 3.5 inch bay to hide some of the excess. But it's going to be very old school. Luckily, it's not. It's all nice and black wiring, so it's not going to be. It's not like it's a bunch of ugly wires. Actually, they're quite nice, these ones. It's not like you got a bunch of coloured rubbish. I might just put this in here to get it out of the way before I put some of this power on the wiring on the motherboard. Get some squeeze in there. I tell ya, there is only, I don't know if you can see that, there's only just room to get out of the motherboard there. So nice little compact case, but not a lot of room to spare. Can't see anything from here, trying to stay out of the way of the camera a bit, so I can't see. Hopefully we can see what we're doing here. That's a bit weird the way they're drilled. Maybe it's I think they've the preferred way is the other way up. Preferred way is the other way up for this case by the looks of those mounting holes. I don't care. Real screwdriver needed. Yeah, it's about this stage where the shortcomings in the quality of the case start to show up. That's some of that's fairly flimsy, but it'll do the job. Well, I suppose we can stick the video card in there and get it out of the way. I probably should clean this video card up a little bit, but let's see if it works. And hopefully it doesn't blow up the computer or something short out. Pulled that out and reseated it because it didn't feel like it seated right, but I guess it did. Using this as a torch. Seems to be fitting in there. No idea if that's any good, but there we go. If it doesn't go straight up, we'll have to try it with a known good card. The lighting here is terrible. Oh, I don't know if you can even see any of this. May not be a video yet. So, everything's in there. There's a whole bunch of wiring to go, and I think I'll do that separately because it's going to be boring. So yeah, that wiring, that took a couple of hours, and that is pretty ugly. I know. Oh, can we have a look at that? It's not too bad. We've got a whole bunch of stuff piled in the bottom there. but there wasn't much I could do with it. It looks alright, not too bad. Most of the wiring doesn't look too bad there. It's open, it's got plenty of airflow. Not even too bad around the back. It's acceptable. I don't like my chances of ever getting a 3.5-inch drive in it, but I don't think that will ever be the case. Ooh. This little bottom filter is pretty ordinary, but hopefully that won't be an issue because I've got put the fan going the other way up in this one. A lot of the other computers I have got with the fan underneath, I may even change that. It's a bit of a pain. They never get cleaned there, and it's a very dusty environment. They do suck a lot of rubbish up in there, so I may even flip a lot of the ones I've got around. Although a lot of them are in that case, so there's only a little bit of air gap there, but it shouldn't make a difference. I'm not sure which is best. But this one here, with it's all nice and open, you can get good airflow there. Fan at the front might be a good idea. I don't even know, to be honest, I don't even know if this will get much use. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. But it was a bit of fun. I might put Linux on it or something and do something with it. The next thing will be to see if it actually goes, and that's going to involve me moving it somewhere else. And so, yeah, it did boot up, fortunately, which first straight up, which is good. So there was nothing wrong with anything, and that $20 G610, which is rubbish, I know, did work, and it'll be fine for just installing something. If I want to install something like Windows or Linux or whatever I want to install on here, until maybe my plan is probably put the 1060 in here. If I can ever get a video card for my main PC, then I'll truck the old 1060 in this one or something, or swap them around. Anyway, there's some video cards that can step down the line depending on which one gets which. But that's all working. I booted it, went into BIOS settings, and set the RAM speed, RAM profile, so that's running at full speed. So yeah, 3200. So RAM's working fine. I think it defaulted to 2133, and we got some glowy RAM, so that's working. That's great, and I'm sure there's a program or something if you're loading Windows to control it, but I don't know if there's a way of disabling it. I don't know if there's a way of doing anything in the BIOS either, so oh well, not to worry. Not something I'm too worried about. I might even end up sticking it in some other machine. Probably best in a Windows machine, and I might end up something else in this one eventually. But anyway, it worked, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. Not a case I'd recommend. It was on sale, it was white, it works. It's not the best case. I've used a 3.5-inch bay for cable management, and even then I couldn't stick all the cables in there, so a lot of them are just sitting there in the bottom being ugly, but they work. Maybe with a nice white power supply it might look quite sexy, I don't know. I don't know why they put a black fan there, but anyway, it's got a whole black white aesthetic, so it's alright, and it could probably use a nice looking video card if you were worried about nice. I was quite happy to get just any old CL case, but this was on sale and it was the cheapest case that would sort of do the job, so I went with it. Yeah, it's good to see the it's not a bad old board, and it's good to get it. It's not old. It's not like it's old technology that I'm just reviving. It is 2017, I suppose, vintage, so it's still current-ish. Wouldn't, like I say, it will run a R5, like it would run the Zen, what is that, Zen 2 It ran Zen Plus and Zen, and I have had, like I said, I have had Zen 2 in it. Won't run Zen 3 obviously, but I have all of them going here, and there's not a huge difference. The Zen 3 machine runs a bit cooler than the Zen 2, and its performance is better, but it's not. In normal use, you're really not going to notice. They're all good, so it really depends on what you're using. If you want to, you know, for the gaming machine, probably best to have the latest one, but they all work good. But anyway, now it'll probably get put on the shelf sometime, somewhere, and till I figure out what I'm going to do with it and where the hell I'm going to put it.